welcome to this Intelligent Briefing, where this Spotlight series, I will be talking to Dan Jurek, Global Infrastructure and Enterprise Information Management at Domino's, about how the company leveraged Pure Storage's data management solution in order to become the world's #1 pizza company. I hope you enjoy. I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about Domino's and how it has scaled as a business.
Our scale is really around, obviously growing our store footprint, but really drawing the consumer into the experience. So really, going through the digital transformation and allowing our customer base to be able to effectively leverage our product and change the way we communicate with our consumers overall. The scale was really around, growing our footprint, our market, but also changing our menu along the way to ensure that we had quality products and something that was attractive to our consumer.
Yeah. And how did this impact the amount of data you needed to process?
Not only are you consuming data on the store footprint, our supply chains begin to grow, as well as how they deliver products to our stores, and ensure that those products are being delivered. Moreover, as our store footprint grew and our digital footprint grew, the consumer segment grew as well, in which we continue to inherit more attributes alongside our consumers. So ultimately, we went from, having information about our delivery segments into all of our segments as we continue to grow. So, I'd like to say our data footprint on a scale of 0 to 10 was probably at a 3, and now we're probably at a 9 and continue to grow. I mean, ultimately, you can always get more data and always more information, but we've definitely gone from we've definitely had major change in terms of scale of data growth.
Yeah. And what key challenges were you sort of looking to overcome ahead of selecting the solution?
Ultimately, it was being able to process the information effectively, right? And growing up in the industry, one of the things that you've always been accustomed to is data resides on disk. And then your data is as fast as your disk, and the engineering within those types of solutions. I think it was a pivotal point into the technology stream where we realized as our solutions became more sought after from a consumer standpoint, our data backbone or our storage backbone had to move just as quick. And so going through the process of trying to understand who we would select, our key requirements were obviously speed, reliability, resiliency, and then more importantly, the ability to replicate or move data, not necessarily from a use standpoint, but from a data protection standpoint as well. And so innately, when we were doing our research, we found that, one, using data in memory storage was something that would accommodate the speed, but more importantly, the engineering around moving data from location to location is really, the combination of the two is really what drew us to Pure.
Yeah. And also just sort of elaborating on that point, what was it specifically that sort of, why did you select Pure to work with, and what did you like about the product?
The in-memory solution, so speed, obviously, that was the first aspect of the product. We needed to ensure that we had the capabilities to not only manage the data that we had coming out of our stores, manage our corporate data, manage our supply chain data, manage our e-commerce data. And so looking at those lines of business, we needed to be fast and reliable, but more importantly, I specifically couldn't be the person that was slowing down the momentum of our organization. So I wanted to make sure that we had a strong foundation behind us to ensure those segments. But specifically, what really changed it for us wasn't just the speed, it was the ability to replicate the information using some of the proprietary logic that the Pure organization developed through art of moving data from one frame to another or one data center to another. That the snapped based or the stream replication modules that we work with them on to test and validate is something that really changed our perspective.
Yeah. Would you say that the implementation process was quite smooth, or did you encounter any challenges, and what sort of challenges did you encounter, if any?
I think for us it was very smooth. I mean, we partnered with the organization to do first and foremost the migration. So we were migrating from one solution to another. As we were going through that migration, the team was really well organized in terms of how they wanted to approach it. Now, obviously, we had to overlay our business concerns or segments on it as we were still running a business at the same time of the migration. I would say your normal migration pains, nothing out of the ordinary, scheduling, ensuring that applications come back up effectively when you do that migration. But more importantly, trust. It was trust because you were living with a solution that you used for years and years and years in terms of a type of engineering, and you're moving from that to a different type of footprint. So, we were very cautiously optimistic as we were going through the migration, but decided to do a series of benchmark tests along the way to build that momentum and build that confidence inside of migrating from one to the other.
Yeah, and obviously that's an important factor in the whole process as well. What training and support was provided to you during and post implementation?
First I'll start with support. What I really value working with Pure, first of all, prior to COVID, the team was in our building every other week. The Pure engineering representative in our market and the salesperson in our market, they're part of my team. And so what I really enjoy about that from a supportability standpoint is, we tend to be very innovative from an organization standpoint and then really challenge some of our some of our technology partners along the way. We've been able to do that with Pure effectively, and they've responded effectively, partially because of that support and that relationship. The other part is because they recognize that we may be doing some things that other organizations aren't in terms of our use case specifically. So, for the past 5 years, what I think is very important is we've had the same sales representation and the same engineering representation along the way. We're also on the advisory board with Pure from an engineering standpoint, just so we can continue to see how product evolution takes shape. So from a support standpoint, I would say, a 10 out of 10 in terms of how we work with them. Mm-hmm. Training, I think, that's never ending, right? Especially as products shape and change. What we did do in the beginning is purchase a segment of training or a block of training and worked with the Pure Storage team as well as some third parties to take our team members through the training protocols to ensure that we were going from one generation of management of storage to the next, and we didn't want to necessarily have gaps along the way. Foundationally, there's some similarities, but ultimately in the software components as well as the use cases we had, they were slightly different. But again, it goes back to building those effective relationships with the people that were servicing our account.
Yeah. And more generally, how would you say that the solution has benefited the company and its customers?
From our standpoint, it's the ability to house, store, move, and protect information effectively. We have 3 different data centers, 2 in the US and 1 in Europe. And basically, if you can imagine a triangle of how those applications move and the data moves along the same way. So we're able to design a solution that basically keeps us protected as we go around the globe to service our markets. Then I think it's just data response overall. When you go from 0 data scientists to 50 over the course of less than 24 months, data scientists are very data hungry, and so one of the things you want to ensure is that obviously the speed and performance is up to their liking. The last thing we wanted to do is have the shadow IT segment be created of people building solutions outside of some of the solutions that we've built from an infrastructure standpoint. So, I would tell you wholeheartedly, it was really, again, it's the reliability and the foundation of the platform that's really allowed for us to serve many parts of our organization. Okay,
thank you. And how has it enabled your Dominos to continue with its innovation?
it's understanding that whatever we wanted to do with the types of data attributes that we have, we can because you know, we're not impacted by speed or reliability. The creativity is along our sides. So it's basically understanding the data catalog we have and leveraging that data catalog to effectively and surgically market and target our consumer base. Obviously, when you're sending an email campaign or an SMS campaign, it's the data segment that's helping build that along the way, and then capturing that response information effectively and leveraging that to continue to have a better relationship with our consumers. So, in a broader scale, it's really assisting in all of our digital marketing components by being that, speed from a foundation standpoint. On the infrastructure sense, obviously, we're cataloging information and working to understand that as quickly as possible as we have new or existing information enter our domain.
Yeah. Okay, that's an interesting point. Thank you. Was there anything you'd like to add that you feel you haven't covered?
I think, realistically, as people go on a journey and look to again, migrate or look to a different type of partner within their technology organization, I would just say be realistic about your goals and work with that partner that's going to reciprocate that understanding. If you're not building an effective relationship with regards to technical partnership, and you treat the organization as a bill of material, I think you're going to falter. And so those bill of material relationships come and go. I think as a provider, Pure's been there with us for quite some time. And as we continue to scale and grow, I know we've challenged them and they've been able to come back and solve some of those challenges. So again, I think, there's a technology component to this and there's also a relationship component to it. And sometimes we don't value the two of those together.